This video is part of a larger adventure that explores the Great Western Trail in sections, including some alternate routes. Hello, this is Amos with Backpacker Diaries. It is Monday, October 4th, and I'm off on another Great Western Trail adventure here. This time I'm trying to wrap up the portion of Skyline Drive between Highway 6 and I-70 that I did not do last year. About a year ago, I got to do the sort of about the southern half, maybe a little less than half, thanks to help from my buddy Tyrell with shuttling. And he's actually going to be helping me shuttle again up to the top of the ridge there where Ephraim Canyon Road and Skyline Drive intersect. It's a lengthy chunk of Great Western Trail that runs between I-70 and Highway 6. I did about 45 miles worth last year, and I'm going to try to do the rest of it this year with shuttle permitting, and yeah, if everything goes as planned. The conditions are fairly smoky still lingering from all the wildfires we've had across the West, especially California this year, but there's some local fires as well. So yeah, I wasn't able to escape that on this trip, but I'm going to go forward with it anyway, and we'll see how I go. On a bike packing trip that's going to be testing out several new pieces of gear. So I'm on my way to stage my car off of Highway 6, where Skyline Drive and the Great Western Trail intersect. I'll pedal my bike as far as I can towards Ephraim along Highway 89 and eventually meet up with Tyrell. It's the first Tuesday in October 2020, and I'm here camped at the very same spot where I camped about a year ago when I did the southern part of Skyline Drive down to I-70. Special thanks again to Tyrell, who helped me out with a very luxurious shuttle that made this possible as a weekend trip for me. After leaving my car yesterday, I pedaled roughly 22 miles with a shortcut around the junction there at Highway 6 and 89. Eventually meeting up with Tyrell, yeah, pretty much just before the sun went down, so it was well timed. Really enjoyed the lack of wind and rain like I had last year, but it's definitely more smoky. So that might be the biggest challenge of this particular trip as I pedal north towards Gooseberry Reservoir, and we'll see how I go. I made it down here towards Gooseberry Reservoir. I was able to chat with a passing ATV and learned that indeed Gooseberry Reservoir is holding water. Fortunately, they have shut the water system off for the season, but there are no trees down there, so it's a little exposed. And this, where I'm at now, is the last sort of cluster of aspens before the lake. So what I'm thinking is I'll post up here and go down and scoop some water, hopefully before dark. And that way I can kind of have the best of both worlds. I can have a cluster of these beautiful sort of autumn leaves, as it so happens here in early October, and be able to have some water that's hopefully easy enough to filter, and then also be closer to North Skyline Drive, where I'll be headed tomorrow to get back to Highway 6. So with that, I'm gonna hang my food and maybe post up my tent as well. Go grab some water, hopefully, before the sun goes down here near Gooseberry Reservoir. Today is October 7th, Wednesday, and I had a rather chilly night not far from Gooseberry Reservoir last night. The water that was stored outside my tent froze up a little bit, so I'm guessing that it was down in the 20s. So a little colder than I was prepared for. It still made it through the night with 26 Great Western Trail miles to go. Yesterday, I covered about 37 miles, 34 of which were along the Great Western Trail, including about a 5-mile stretch of blacktop near Fairview Reservoir that was a nice break from the sort of unfinished gravel double track that I was on for the previous 29 miles. In any case, the smoke seemed to decrease moving into the afternoon yesterday, which was a nice sort of relief. Usually it's the opposite. Oftentimes it'll get smokier as the afternoon wears on. But yeah, it's still a bit smoky today, certainly. So that's been really the biggest challenge of the trip, is just sort of dealing with that and trying to breathe through my nose as much as I can to avoid those fine particulates of smoke getting into my lungs. Today I'm on the home stretch back to Highway 6 along North Skyline Drive, and we'll see how I go on the Great Western Trail. Just got back to the rest area where I started, and that ride sets a new personal best for me. Over 48 hours, I covered about 90 miles, 66 of which were on the Great Western Trail. So definitely a satisfying adventure for a weekend warrior like myself at the moment. Got to meet another bikepacker named John, who started in Missoula, Montana a month or two ago. I'm not exactly sure, but he's riding the Wild West Trail. So I'm definitely Gonna look that up when I get home. He's gonna be on the Skyline Drive for some time before bailing to the east towards Farron and Green River and eventually Moab. Shout out to John if you're watching this, and hope you enjoy the rest of your adventure. In any case, this is the biggest single chunk of the Great Western Trail I've been able to do on one trip, so definitely a satisfying adventure. I would say my new bike pack rigging is mostly a success, although there's still room for some improvement there. And with that, I'll say so long for now. See you next time.